What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to some damn news for video games. Okay, so this is an old one, but I don't think a lot of people know about it. And I've noticed a couple content creators making videos about it, and I'm like, why do people not know this has happened? This is a very big deal. So this is gonna be a follow-up kind of to my video about spending on gachas and why it's dangerous. This here, I'm gonna lower my little camera here so you guys can see it. This is insane. Okay, so first off, I want to mention this. This is not something that's happening global. Okay, this is not the global version of this happening. This has happened in Korea and Southeast Asia. It's still insane what's going on. So if you don't know, Nexon is a huge company responsible for MapleStory especially, and they were fined recently, and I'm talking about January of 2024, so not that long ago really, over drop rate manipulation for the loot boxes. That's right. So let me explain to you how this works and how this whole thing came about. Maybe some of you don't know about this, maybe some of you do, but for those who don't know, I do want to show you guys what's going on. So Nexon, one of the biggest gaming companies in South Korea, has been fined for a sum of 11.6 billion won, which is 8.88 million USD, by the Korea Fair Trade Commission's KFTC, not to be mistaken by KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken Commission, for failing to disclose changes of item drop rates in MapleStory to players via Business Korea. So that's where the article originated. So let me explain to you guys how this happened. Okay, so MapleStory came out in 2010. Okay, the introduction of the loot box story came out in 2010. Right over here, you guys can see it even says it. Items called cubes were introduced in the game in 2010. They were then purchasable equipment modifications that can have different effects and attributes which are generated randomly upon buying them. So pretty much a gacha system was introduced into MapleStory to say, hey, spend real life money, you can have the opportunity to get yourself these modifications that will boost your power. And you guys know MapleStory back then was one of the biggest games out, period. Everyone I knew was playing it. Grandmothers were playing it. Dogs were playing it. Cats were playing it. They learned how to use the damn PC just to get on to play MapleStory. Everybody was playing it, right? MapleStory was freaking huge. So they introduced this new loot system called cubes. And cubes initially featured equal appearance rates for all possible attributes. So what that means essentially is when you open a cube, you have an option to get yourself loot equally across the board. Some that can obviously help you gain more power. Some that can equal it out. Essentially a loot box that's randomly generated. We see it all the time now. Every gacha has that, right? But every rate is disclosed, and some of us feel that some of these rates are rigged. Well. In this case, it was. So, cubes initially featured equal appearance rates for all possible attributes. However, Nexon quietly reduced the drop odds for the most popular and powerful characteristics to 0.00001%. So, essentially, impossible to get. And what does this mean? So, the thing they knew that every player wanted, the thing they knew that would make the players more powerful than amongst other players, the most coveted of prizes, they shadow nerfed the drop rate to 0% without letting anybody know. That's insane. That is insane. Insane. That is the shadiest business practice I have ever seen in my life, okay? Not only did Nexon not disclose this change, it continued to publicly maintain that nothing about the drop rates had been changed after the cubes were introduced. So they kept denying, even though the public kept saying, what the hell, guys? Nobody has these things that are listed in the cubes as things that are attainable. Nobody had it, okay? So estimates say that the sale of cubes accounted for around a third of MapleStory's revenue over the 10-year period to where these items were nigh impossible odds were activated. Imagine, for 10 years, guys, and that's a third of their revenue. You can only imagine 33% of how much they're making being loot boxes, how much people were paying for these to get a specific item they can never get. So according to the KFTC, Nexon used clandestine patches on other occasions as well to change the game to be more disadvantageous to users, such as by quietly lowering the effectiveness of certain equipment. Holy shit! I would lose my mind. And this makes me doubt the whole genre, right? This makes me hate the whole gacha genre a little bit. I am a mobile gaming user because I am a busy father. I have a full-time career. It's really hard for me to sit down and play a console and PC game to its fullest extent nowadays. So mobile games are my love and my passion. And this kind of stuff just irks me, man. Irks me. Anyways, so Here's how it all happened. Nexon seemingly doesn't regret this blatant anti-customer behavior and instead intends to object to the KFTC's decision, stating, this issue pertains to the period before 2016 when there is no obligation to disclose information about probability-based items. The KFTC's retrospective sanctions will greatly shrink Korea's gaming industry. So they're actually turning around and blaming the KFTC and their retrospective sanctions, saying that if they do this, it's going to lower the income of the gaming industry in Korea. Unfucking real. I'm blown away by this. This is the highest fine ever decided upon by the KFTC under Korea's Electronic Commerce Act and is the result of an investigation that took the authorities 3 years to conduct. The most important information in probability-based items is the odds. As digital intangible goods, if the seller does not announce or falsely report this information, consumers cannot be aware, the KFTC explained. Aside from the MapleStory, Nexon is also publisher of big titles like Dave the Diver, which just cracked the 3 million sales milestone, and popular free-to-play shooter The Finals, which launched during the Game Awards in 2023. This is insane, guys. Like, it's unreal. Now, if you guys want to know a number, I believe the sale amount that players paid was over $100 million in sales. Yeah, it was over 100. I think it was $120 million in sales, as a matter of fact. So they made $120 million plus probably in MapleStory for 10 years by making players have the fictitious mindset that these were obtainable items they were paying for. So someone like me who's a brand new, 2010 was huge for gaming, right? Huge for mobile gaming, especially. Like loot boxes were being introduced left and right. And people at that point didn't understand the addiction of gachas. They didn't. People were spending money. I was one of those people thinking like, yo, listen, I'll make this money back. I make good money. I'll make this money back. And then you start buying these things, right? And you don't realize how fast your credit card bill racks up until you get the bill the next month and you're like, the hell? I thought I spent like $2,000. It's like 15 grand, right? People didn't get that. And so back then, from what I remember, it was even harder to get refunds because they were like clamping down on people spending this money. So you can only imagine the shock and dismay for these people when this came out. Like, I'm appalled by this because I, as a content creator for gachas, have seen people come out and straight up be like, yo, I've like, let's take a Netmarble example for me. And I don't think this is happening with Netmarble, by the way. I'm just using this as an example. So Tower of God, the newest Tower of God, right? I quit the game because after 400 attempts of getting an SSR unit without the pity, I didn't get one. Not one. Those odds are insane. And to me, I thought to myself, I'm like, yo, this has got to be rigged. This has got to be rigged to try to make me spend money. And I didn't. I was free to play. So I quit. I was like, you know what? I can't do this. And shit like this, when I see stuff like this, guys, it makes me question the entire industry. Because if the KFTC did not investigate this, they would still be doing the same shit to everybody. MapleStory would still be making a ton of money, and those players would still be paying for items they would never get. It's unreal that this happened for 10 years, and the slap on the wrist is $8.88 million. These guys made over $100+ million on these loot boxes in that span, and all you're doing is punishing them for $8.88 million? That's it? That's not even like 6-7%. That is unreal to me, guys. Like, these are the kind of things that upsets me about the gacha industry, right? It's like, when do you know? How do you know that we're not being manipulated? That the pulls we're making are not being manipulated? You know, like, there's no way to know. You have to kind of just judge. And the problem with the gacha system and the loot box system is that percentage just resets every time you pull. So it's not like it's an accumulative percentage, unless there's a pity, obviously. Pity's helped the situation. But in this case, with those loot boxes, pity doesn't matter because you're not getting to choose what you want. So be very careful, guys, of games that have equipment with random stats. Those ones are tough. It's really hard to prove that there's any legitimacy to the actual draw rates. Now, characters is a different story because you can eventually pity a character and pull that character, right? But something like this, bro, that scared the hell out of me. Unreal. Anyways, I want to share this because not everybody knows about what's happening. These are the kind of reasons why you want to stay free to play sometimes, right? So just understand what you're buying. So the reason why I brought this up also is because Night Crows is another very similar game to this, right? Night Crows just came out, and I'm afraid that this could definitely be a path they could take and it'll be years before anybody understands, because they have the exact same loot box system as that, where it's just randomized weapons that are dropping. You don't know if you're going to get a legendary for $100 or if you're going to get a rare. It's crazy to me that people would spend on that. But this is a prime example, guys, of you being duped, right, by a company and have almost zero chance of getting what you want, yet also having zero chance of knowing that you're being duped. So be very careful, guys, when you're doing this. Anyways, guys, Payne, hope you enjoyed the video. Crazy. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.